Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the 3-part series called What is Project Portfolio Management? Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of the 3-part series called What is Project Portfolio Management? In the previous segment, we talked about the quiz. I basically provided you with a list of top 10 symptoms of a company that is in need of project portfolio management, and I invited you to count how many of those symptoms are applicable to your company. And thank you for posting your comments underneath the video. What I want to do today, as promised, I want to share with you a very interesting conversation I had once with the CEO of a very large organization. It was actually a North American port authority. Let me set this up for you. I got called in by the company management. Basically what they told me is that we have some issues with our projects and we need your expertise on project management, not project portfolio management. And I came in and we did some studies, we conducted some audits of their projects, we had some interesting conversations about how to initiate projects, how to plan them, how to monitor and control them and all that. And at one point of time, we ended up with the CEO and the Chief Operating Officer in the same conference room. And the CEO asked me a question. He said, listen, I have this issue. I'm not entirely sure it is related to your domain of expertise, but I just wanted to run it by you. And I told him, okay, go ahead. And he goes, listen, here's the thing. My department directors, and I have about 20 of them, are constantly complaining. He actually used the word whining. That they don't have enough resources, both financial and human, to deliver all of their projects. And goes, and the way I look at it, and he joked, mathematically speaking, there are two options, or two alternatives in front of me. Alternative number one, I can tell them to roll up their proverbial sleeves, and work harder. Alternative number two, I would believe them. And in that case, again, I have two alternatives in front of me. A, I would provide them with more resources, both financial and human, or I would cut their projects they're working on. If I decide to give them additional resources, be it financial or human, I have to go back to the board of directors and I have to tell them, hey, you know how we said our budget will be $50 million this year? Well, now I'm requesting an increase to, say, 100. If I decide to cut some of the projects, again, I have to go back to the board of directors and say, hey, remember how we promised to do 50 projects this year? Well, that number now drops to 35, say. Do you have a solution for that? And the chief operating officer, who was being quiet in the meantime, suddenly said, hey, while we're at these strategic issues, I have another question for you. Recently we had a discussion about which project to initiate. It was the cruise ship terminal versus the container ship terminal. And we decided that container ship terminal would be a much better idea. And we went ahead with that project. And it's actually being finished right now. But at one point of time when we were having a discussion with our board of directors, one of our board of directors asked a very interesting question. He said, why did you decide to go with the container ship terminal project rather than the cruise ship terminal project? And he goes, and we tried to explain it to him, but he said, for the lack of the better word, our answers were not very measurable. We would give them the usual talk about, more jobs for local economy, improvement of trade relations with other countries, etc., etc., etc. But we could not, in a measurable way, show to him that project A, the container ship terminal, was more important than the cruise ship terminal. At that point of time, I came up with a list. And I said, guys, all of the questions that you've been asking me, they fall into the following categories. You asked me a question about project prioritization. We talked about dropping or killing of unwanted projects. We talked about strategic resource allocation. You know, how many resources do you need, both human and financial? We talked about maximizing project value. Container ship terminal versus cruise ship terminal. Balancing of project portfolio to some extent, and strategic alignment of portfolios to some extent. Well, guess what? All of these items do not fall under project management. They fall under project portfolio management. So what I was trying to do in this video segment is to show you how issues or problems that are typical for pretty much every company out there fall into the domain of project portfolio management. So what we're going to do in the next part, the third part of this three-part series, is we're going to finally talk about what is project portfolio management. I'm going to give you a definition, and then I'm going to give you a very brief overview of the three pillars of project portfolio management and try to explain each one of them. So this was the second episode of What is Project Portfolio Management series. Please share and like this video. I encourage you to leave a comment. Visit our company website, thinktankconsulting.ca. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Subscribe to our RSS feed, and definitely to our YouTube channel. You can find all of the relevant links at the bottom of the video in the video description section. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time for another edition of Think Tank Consulting video blog.